This is crazy, guys. Like, I have looked at a lot of endgames in my life, and this one, the funny thing is, this was not in the book. The author didn't see this. Capablanca didn't see this. This was just like Stockfish was like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a random draw here, and actually it could be a win if Black plays King G7, and nobody saw it, but here it is. This is crazy. In this position, Black's pawn is dangerously close to becoming a queen, 2 squares away, and it does have support from the queen and possibly the bishop. White is trying to hang on, and there is one move and only one move that saves the game for White. If you want to pause and try to find it, you can, but I'm going to go ahead and warn you, the author of this book didn't see it, and Capablanca himself, probably the greatest endgame player of all time, didn't see it. The only reason I know about it is because the chess engine told me what the move is, and when I saw it, I was like, no, you got to be kidding me. So, we're going to look at this game. This is game number 11 in a series where we're going through this book, Capablanca's Best Chess Endings. It is crazy to me how one simple move, if you see it, saves the game, and if you don't, you lose. You think at the end of the game, there's a little bit more leeway. No, you have to pay attention to every detail, just like every other phase in a chess game. But this one is pretty crazy. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. Let's take a look. All right, so here we go. So this time, I'm actually showing you the game from not Capablanca's perspective, just because I really liked the endgame from White's perspective, and I want you to get the flow of the game from White's perspective. So Capablanca is playing with the black pieces, okay? And he's going to win the game, but that's only because White missed the draw that I'm going to show you when we get there, okay? So they played this really weird opening, like, I don't know what's going on. This is kind of like a London from White, and Black is kind of doing a King's Indian setup. Then he goes for c6. The queen goes to c2. I mean, very strange opening. But they're playing, you know, back hundreds of years ago, like openings weren't as big of a deal. Okay. So they're developing the pieces. That's what matters, right? Knight comes out, rook comes to the center. Both sides castle. Okay, great. So we get some back and forth. They're both trying to reroute their knights all over the place. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Bishop h4. He trades. The knight goes back. And here, by the way, White starts playing very defensively, like very defensively. Knight e1, like this is not a move that you guys want to make unless it's absolutely your last option, right? And so he just immediately starts going on the defensive. He plays g3. This knight now gets to jump into h3, which is kind of annoying. h5, Capablanca's being very aggressive here. f3. So, and I said, you know, White's playing defensively, but they are at least doing a pretty good job of defending and not making it easy for Capablanca to invade into the position, okay? So knight here, h4, g4. So he just tries to totally lock up the position. The problem when you push your pawns forward like this, which hopefully you guys can notice, is you create these squares in the position that now the knights can just have a party on, right? When your pawn was on g3, the knights couldn't really do anything. Yes, you have to worry about other things, like this might happen, but as soon as you push by, I just really don't like this from White, okay? Now, you could say, well, maybe they were thinking about the f5 square, and they wanted to solidify that for their knight. I think the way I would look at it is you can already go there. You already have it supported enough if you want to go there. You don't really need another pawn, and by pushing forward, now you've given Black the f4 square. So, you know, I don't know, but that's just kind of what and Stockfish says, no, this is a bad move. You can see the bar pushing in Capablanca's favor. Okay. So what does he do? He brings the knight there. I mean, why not? Rook f2, we get a trade. Bishop comes out finally. Rook to the open file. Rook to the open file. b3. The knight jumps in that square again. He trades. He trades. He brings the rook over. Oh, by the way, I should mention something here. It almost looks like there's a tactic for Capablanca. Bishop takes g4, and there's a pin. I want to ask you guys, if Capablanca would have done this, what could White have played? What could White have played? All right, if you had a chance to look at that. So whenever pieces are lined up with a king or a queen in chess, that should be a clue to you that, like, you know what, there could be some kind of a tactic here. Say, Nelson, what are you talking about? There's a bishop and a king on the same file. Okay, what does that mean? Well, maybe there's a tactic, and sure enough, there actually is. You can actually sacrifice your knight on h4. The idea is that if they take back, you can now pin the bishop to the king. That's why I was saying when they're in a line or a diagonal or something, you want to pay attention. And now, Of course, black can't do this. You just take it. Remember, the bishop's pinned, right? And now you're going to take this back. Let's say they do something. Take here with check. And the game goes on, but now white actually has a much better position. You have some pressure on the king, and you didn't actually lose a pawn. So I just wanted to point out that little tactic. You have to always be paying attention. Even at the end of the game, they can pop up out of nowhere. That was a good example. So Capablanca avoids that and plays rook to d8. Queen goes back to e2 and h3. Now, this sets up something in chess called a mating net. A mating net is when you trap your opponent's king in a certain section of the board and they can't easily get out of it. So by pushing the pawn to h3, of course the knight is going to move, there is now this constant threat of a back rank checkmate because the king cannot easily get out of here. You obviously can't take your own piece, you can't go there, and you don't have a quick way to take this pawn either. So for the next at least couple of moves, there's going to be this threat, right? And that's a very good thing to do. Endgame or middle game or at any point in the game, if you can create a mating net for the opponent's king, that's usually pretty good. That's what Capablanca does here with this pawn push. If you imagine he plays some other move and he allows white to push here, it's a different story. Now the king has more places to run to. It's not as dangerous as this, okay? All right, so Capablanca now turns to the queen side and starts pushing the queen side pawns. We end up getting a trade of rooks. So now we have a bishop against a knight endgame. And here's where it starts to get interesting. Queen to d4. And I want you to notice the difference between these two queens, right? They're both powerful pieces, but white's queen is in a very defensive spot. The only thing it's really doing is defending stuff. Black's queen is like controlling the whole board. It's like attacking here. Could come over this way. It could come over this way. It's stopping white from invading. It's also defending. It's just so much better than the white queen. And that is really important at the end of the game, especially because you only have a couple pieces left, right? There's only a queen and a bishop and a queen and a knight. So whoever has the most active pieces, of course, like their position is going to be so much better. And Capablanca does a great job of centralizing the queen here on d4. All right, so we get knight f2. And Capablanca plays b5. He's trying to undermine these pawns somehow to create a passed pawn, right? At the end of the game, you have to make passed pawns to win the game because you need more pieces, and the way you get more pieces is by promoting a pawn and getting an extra queen, right? Or at least threatening to do that so your opponent has to sacrifice their piece or something. So that's what he's going for. Now, something really interesting here. After this capture, Capablanca took here with the pawn, which makes a lot of sense. Like from a logical perspective, you want to take, you're threatening to come here and get a queen, or even to push and get a queen. So I understand that. What blew my mind was Stockfish said bishop takes b3 was actually the best move. And I still don't think I fully understand why. It looks like to me it's just saying like we'd rather have this passed pawn than a bishop sitting there because it's just so valuable at this point in the game. Even though you can't immediately push it because they could play knight d1 and stop you, Stockfish says you just take back, and the queen is so strong with this threat. These pieces are basically just stuck guarding this pawn, and Stockfish really likes this position for black. I didn't follow the line like all the way out to see exactly how you would win this, but kind of was crazy to me that that's better, according to Stockfish anyway, than what happened in the game taking with the pawn, right? Because this way, you only end up with the bishop here instead of the pawn, which I guess is more valuable. That's my 2 cents. Let me know in the comments if you have a different reason or if you notice something, but that's all I could figure out. Still a good position for Capablanca, but obviously not the same as the -5 that Stockfish was showing before. All right, so question for you guys. Should white capture this pawn or play something else? What do you guys think? All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that, hopefully you didn't say capture the pawn. This is a big blunder, and it's because black had this sneaky threat of queen to a1 check. Remember we talked about the mating net earlier, where the king is stuck here? You actually have no good way to stop this. Your queen can't go here, you just get captured. So you have to block with like the knight, and you just lose your knight for free, and you still have problems. So that was a big mistake. You cannot do that. You have to deal with the threat of queen a1 immediately. So white decides to go ahead and take the pawn, which clears a space for their king. So a good decision there, not taking here and saving the king. All right. Bishop to d1. The queen goes back, and now Capablanca takes, and he's finally has the pass pawn that is going to be a very serious threat for the white position. All right, so we're almost to the critical moment in this game, which is crazy to me. We'll talk about it in just a second. So king g2, Capablanca pushes the pawn, and I mean at this point, it doesn't really look like there's much for white to do. This pawn is going. It's going to be very difficult to stop it. There's a bishop here. There's this amazing queen still sitting in the center, and this knight is awful. So it's kind of like, yeah, what could white possibly do? Well, he tries to get the queen on an aggressive square to go on the offensive, maybe putting some checks to the king. Maybe there's a perpetual check or something like that. And at the same time, he's kind of trying to slow it down, although that's hard to do when the pieces are supporting it, like I mentioned, right? And then something absolutely crazy happens. Capablanca plays the most natural-looking move on the board, b3. Watch that eval bar. That is a huge blunder. A huge blunder that gives white a draw if they can find one idea in this position. If you want to pause, it's kind of a longer term plan, sort of not that long, like a couple moves long, but I don't want to give it away. Just see if you can find it, but don't feel bad if you don't. Don't spend a lot of time if you don't want to get frustrated. All right, if you had a chance, so the move that was played in the game, let me start with that. The move that was played in the game was a check. Very logical move, right? You're struggling to stop this. You may as well go on the offensive, and this looks like a good way to do it. And the king is going to move somewhere. This is what happened in the game. And then you could try maybe to come in with your knight or to do something else. I think in the game he played queen e7. You could try coming in with your knight. You could see from the eval bar, there's nothing here. This one loses instantly because of the fork. So I'll just show you that. There's just nothing there. Black has good defensive options. Okay, let's go back. So the move that white needed to play is knight to f2. Sorry, it's black's turn. Black pushed the pawn. Okay, here, knight to f2. This is the move, knight to f2. You say, okay, that's fine. I mean, it's a nice looking move, I guess, to protect my king. But how does it solve the problem of this pawn? Well, this is where it starts to get really interesting. So, first of all, if black tries to push immediately, you now can take the bishop. The queen is stopping here. And when they take you, you actually grab the pawn. And now this is a drawn position. Okay, that's interesting. So you temporarily stop the pawn from pushing. Now, the question that most of you guys should be asking is, well, okay, but the bishop's just going to move, cutting off the knight, supporting the pawn all the way to the queening square. Why did we go there, Nelson? What did we even accomplish, right? What do you guys think? This is where it gets wild. Okay, the reason that we wanted to do that was it bought us a time. It forced black to make one move here. And now this is going to blow your mind, guys. The move is knight h1. Knight to h1? What? What? You put the knight in the corner? Why in the world is this? I mean, what is happening? Black is going to get a queen, and we're moving our knight in the corner. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Let me show you. b2. Queen e8 check now, and watch this. The king comes up. Did you see the eval bar? White is winning because the knight in the corner goes to g3, and you can get a queen, sure, but you are getting checkmated in 3 moves from this knight. Knight h5 check. The king moves somewhere. Check and mate. You cannot get away from that from this position. It doesn't matter where you move your king to. You want to go here, check, and mate. There's going to be a mate. Black has 2 queens, and they get checkmated because the knight that went to the corner came in to deliver the final blow. I hope you guys can understand how crazy this is. This is wild. And you know what's really fascinating too? Check this out. Going back to the original game, remember in the game, white played check here, and the king moved? If you now say, okay, I'll do the plan. I'll go here and I'll bring my knight around. Watch this. It doesn't work because now black says, I don't even have to worry about my bishop because your queen is not stopping my pawn. I'm just going to ignore it. Go here and get another queen. And you're way too slow. I have 2 queens, you lose. See, going back to this crazy move, after b3, knight to f2 actually bought white one move because it forced black to slow down. I showed you this, right? You could take and win the pawn. It forced them to slow down, play bishop c2, and now you can actually do either queen e8 or knight h1. You could start here, check, and then go for knight h1. Although, this one's actually a draw instead of a win. Wow. So the better way, now that I'm looking at, is to start with the knight and then go for the check, because now it's a win because you made them push up. Wow, this is fascinating stuff. And there's a random check here. Doesn't do anything. You hide your king here. It can't be targeted by any of these pieces. And then you have the checkmate that I already showed you. This is crazy, guys. Like, I have looked at a lot of endgames in my life, and this one, the funny thing is, this was not in the book. The author didn't see this. Capablanca didn't see this. This is just like Stockfish was like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a random draw here, and actually it could be a win if black plays king g7, and nobody saw it, but here it is. This is crazy. So the other thing I should point out, this is a losing move for black because you put your king on a square that the knight is going to be able to check you. If you actually go to h7, which looks like the worst move, now it's just a draw. Because now if I try to bring my knight in, I don't have time. Check here, queen f4, somehow you're not getting mated and black is actually going to get a queen and win now. Okay, so on king h7, the best thing for white is actually just to go check and take a draw. Now, if the king comes up, then you win with knight g3 because now you have checkmate. But if the king goes back in the corner, you have to actually just take a draw, which is fascinating to me. If you try to bring the knight in, again, this queen d2 check, followed by now they get a queen, you actually don't have checkmate because you're too slow. And again, you have to just take the draw. This is crazy. I know I've said it before, but like this is just wild. So just to recap here, guys, knight f2, key move, forces the bishop to move. Then you can go with a check, or actually no, knight h1 first, sorry. Then you can go with the check, and black has to play king h7 to not lose the game. Which, I mean, come on. If this is a real game, nobody's going to play this, right? They're going to play king g7, and then you win. This is wild. I hope you guys appreciated this. This is crazy. Like, I mean, yeah. Anyway, so back to the game. They didn't see knight f2. They went with the check immediately. Capablanca just moves his king up. Then the queen goes here. They're trying to go for some perpetual checks and generate an attack. It just doesn't work. It is not the same effect as your knight being able to land on one of these squares. And so Capablanca just pushes. I think, yeah, they took with the knight. He simply defends the threat, and there's just nothing else here. There's just no good combination with queen and knight like we saw in the other variation when the knight was able to land on h5. It's amazing, right? How you would think, oh, this is pretty good too. No, it's just not. There's almost a fork here, but it doesn't work because the bishop stopped. Like the bishop just stops everything. And so I believe, yeah, this happened. There was a few random checks, and eventually he got away from the checks, and this is gonna be a win. So Capablanca won the game, and nobody, as far as I know, ever knew that this knight f2 move was even there. Going back to this position, nobody even knew that this was there. This is crazy, guys. I mean, I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Yeah, this was a fun one. So let me know in the comments if you appreciated this, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.